Welcome to this episode of Shonen Flop, where we talk about manga and Shonen Jump that didn't make it big. I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
Just a heads up, we're going to be taking a break for August to enjoy the summer. In its place, we're going to be running some previously Patreon-only episodes, so keep an eye out for that. But this week, we still are covering something brand new. We're talking about Yokai Buster Murakami, and we are joined by the wonderful guest, Joe. Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Oh, yeah, sure. So my name is Joe. I run the channel Pause and Select. For my primary interest is in game studies. That's what my PhD is about. I'm currently sweating away in Hokkaido right now. My main interest is taking a look at general media under a lot of different, exciting, interesting lenses for whatever reason that kind of strikes my fancy at any moment.
I love how, like, the start of your channel, you were on, like, a really big post-apocalyptic kick. And I feel like now more than ever, I would think that, like, the world ending would be top of mind. But have you thought about returning to that well as a topic, or do you prefer the direction you're still going on right now?
It's too real, you know, like maybe you want a break, you know?
So, Joe, I'd be curious, is that something you've thought about bringing back, or are you, like, kind of done with that topic?
Well, it's interesting because, like, my doctoral thesis was about apocalypse.
Really?
And
what?
So I feel like if I really need to stretch content, I could just convert that into it.
Well, hold on. You can't just say that. What about apocalypse? What about apocalypse?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, what?
Dude, that's, like, way too cool a topic to just be like, you know.
I have my doctorate in Armageddon. You know?
Yeah. This is like my boss was like, yeah, I got my PhD studying mongoose testicles in like my interview with him. And I was like, I really, really need to circle back to that comment. So yes, please, we'd love to hear more about your PhD if you don't mind telling us and the audience a little bit about it.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, so essentially it takes a look at apocalypse from the perspective of structuralist Marxism. Primarily, so one of the core idea is, how does the concept of apocalypse help us understand how subjects think of themselves with regards to the concept of ideology? And so ideology is a really sort of loaded term, but the simplest explanation is simply the idea that there are two like particular streams that are worth like discussing here. Though the first one is this idea of like ideology is like somebody else's political argument, right? Like this guy has this ideological bent because they believe in this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the sort of like sociological, like Weberian sort of like Mannheim kind of argument. The other one is this idea that like ideology is a set of like orbital and atmospheric rules which determine the way in which its subjects think about the world and how they are positioned and navigate and negotiate these things. What's really particularly useful is the argument that ideological subjects don't necessarily like know they are within ideologies, nor even if they did, they don't understand the extent upon which these ideologies extend into them. So this is the idea that you will see, particularly in like Marxism. Marxist theory has a really long history about trying to figure this out, because ultimately they're trying to think of how like relations of production reproduce the same relations of production to keep people in certain socioeconomic statuses.
I'm just thinking about Zizek.
Yeah.
You know, ideology is everywhere. It's in your butt. It's in your fist. You know?
Yeah.
I think Zizek famously put out like an essay saying that like fisting is the most modern form of sex. Anyway.
Okay, so let's get into this manga. Jordan, great job killing that topic.
Yeah, look, I could hear it go on. I could listen to this lecture for hours.
Yeah.
It is so much more interesting than anything we're going to talk about today.
I also want to give a big shout out to Spubby, who recommended Joe on our Discord server. So I always appreciate when someone on Discord recommends a guest. And I know we've had a fantastic time talking so far. So let's get into the manga details. Jordan, take it away with your handful of information on this.
So this is Yokai Buster Murakami. It was written by Daiki Ihara. Notable people this guy had as an assistant was Maiki Ito, who's the winner of the 82nd Shogakukan Newcomer Award, and was a background assistant on, Protect Me Shugamaru.
Have you heard of that series, Joe?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Don't read it. It's very bad.
Oh, okay.
It actually infamously has a chapter that they couldn't publish online because it had too many penises in it.
Oh, interesting. Well, now I have to read it. What do you?
Yeah, okay.
What do you mean?
Go look for the lost chapter of Protect Me, Shigemaru.
But yeah, other things this guy made were Daily Shonen Ihara, 2013, 43 chapters, Jump Live. It is a daily manga with gag strips having the common theme of made by Daiki Ihara.
It's a lot of words just to say it's not funny.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, I get what it's saying. It's like the common thing behind it is that this guy made it. This guy also made Yukimi Fuku, 2014, 3 chapters, Jump Plus. It's a mini-series promising a one-way romantic comedy between an artistic girl and the chubby version of her most beloved OC. Okay. Ihara, 20 Days, and Ihara, 20 Days. 2 special projects for Jump Plus in 2016. Daily collections of 4-panel strips like 10 a day for what ended up being 40 days. That is 20 plus 20. And as we alluded to, oh my fucking god, Protect Me Shugamaru, fucking garbage. That's Shonen Flop episode 57. Just absolute trash.
Yep. Did you mention One Piece in Love?
I was about to say that. One Piece in Love 2018 to 2021 and then restarted this year. 9 plus volumes in Jump Plus. It was a cute little gag manga at a group of One Piece fanatics in their daily lives. Went on a 3.5-year hiatus for Ihara to try and make it in Weekly Shonen Jump, and he returned this very year when Ihara presumably gave up on that dream.
Yeah, literally his editor was like, we're not going to cancel it just in case. And he's like, no, I'm going to be big. And then he started One Piece in Love again because this guy is not built for it. God, it is getting an anime adaptation, so at least he can't complain too much.
Oh, there's something.
Yep.
But yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Yokai Buster Murakami. Ran from June 17th, 2024 to November 11th, 2024. Kind of unclear what it replaced. It might have arguably replaced the one-shots that were running when Rory Dragon finished its return run and moved to the digital magazine. It was replaced by Sidcraft, Love is a Mystery by Taishi Tsutsui. 4 volumes, that's a flop, and I'm proud of this one, David, because I was on Shonen Jumping the Gun, which is a podcast within a podcast, and they had me on an episode for that, and I called it, David. I knew chapter 1, that's a flop.
Oh yeah, we'll be covering it soon.
Excited to cover it. Also, series that started at the same time as it were Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi by Shoichi Usui. It's 4 plus volumes, is doing aight. And Himaten by Genki Ono. 4 volumes, doing okay. It's full drive author, oh boy. But Yokai Buster Murakami went for 2 volumes and 21 chapters, and let's get into the fucking plot of those 21 chapters.
Let's
just barely not U19.
Oh, let's fucking do it straight.
Kuin is a young exorcist trying to get rid of yokai, but he has one big problem. He's a big old coward. He has enlisted his only friend, Murakami, to give him moral support. The two encounter a kappa, and by using logical reasoning, Murakami actually makes it feel so shitty about itself that it loses its powers, and is easily sealed by Kuin. After making a Tengu become a DJ and getting a Tanuki retract its balls, Murakami talks a fox spear named Tenko into becoming a schoolgirl so they can be friends. Tenko immediately gets a crush on Murakami, and he has all of the yokai they've befriended joined together with them as the Kuin Corpse. Popcorn George.
They're soon confronted by Tenko's superior in the deadly Shuten gang, Hakutaku. Hey, that's manga we covered. Murakami grills Hakutaku over the fact that he's an Android user, when iPhones are obviously superior, and Hakutaku ends up leaving to feed his dog. They defeat a haunted chair and then enroll in Yokai High School to steal a spirit energy orb. It is soon discovered that Murakami's powers actually come from the fact that he is a quote-unquote spirit word user, whatever that means. While there, they defeat the Elite Four. Miss Mary, a yandere who becomes obsessed with Kuin and joins them. Mr. Dragon, maybe the best character.
Yeah.
A dolphin who claims to be a dragon, who also joins them. A centaur and some other guy I forget. Popcorn David.
A nightmare demon attacks Murakami with visions of Hansel and Gretel, but Murakami uses his knowledge of land bureaucracy to turn the witch's candy house into a legal tourist destination. Then they are called into a meeting with the Supreme Exorcist, who are all stuck being Gendo Akari until Murakami gives them individual personalities. He then makes Kuin be the Gendo Akari leader of the group, and the Supreme Exorcist tell him that the biggest evil guy is coming. They then recruit the alcoholic yokai that runs the Shuten gang, and when the biggest evil guy shows up, Murakami convinces him to be his friend, which also interestingly showed that no one else was necessary for that last plotline except for Murakami.
Yeah, no, I mean, I mean,
he's kind of the Poochie of this, where when he's not on screen, everyone says, "Where is Murakami?" His name is in the title, so you can't be that mad. It's not like, a lot of the plot of Naruto was really revolved around that Naruto guy.
Yeah, what the fuck? No.
So I'll get off for that. He knew. Anyway, Joe, do you mind telling us about Murakami?
Murakami uses the power of logic over, facts, feelings, etc. Those, those inferior traits. He uses facts and logic to defeat. He sees through the shit, and he cares about Kuin, invites him to stuff like karaoke, and ironically, he likes iPhones.
Now, why is that ironic?
Because,
well, for being such a logical person.
Oh,
Android is a superior OS, Jordan.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Jordan has said that he thinks the Dolphin is the best character. I also think the fact that Murakami is a decent character really helped the series.
Yeah, I do like Murakami, actually.
Listening to the plot summary really did make me think Murakami is actually a really good friend to Kuin, which is actually really nice to see. Like, he is not this, obnoxious know-it-all asshole like you think he is based on some of the chapters, but, he actually is kind of no one really wants to be friends with Kuin, and he just kind of adopts him, as a friend.
It's refreshing, especially because of how fucking annoying Shugamaru was.
Yeah.
Shugamaru might be the worst main character in anything we've read.
Yeah, I'd give you that. And then, Jordan, do you want to talk about Kuin?
Kuin is, he's just kind of like a cowardly guy who's
What's he, courage?
Courage. Well, he's, except not a dog. Man, Courage the Cowardly Dog manga, though. Wow. By Junji Ito. That would be fucking crazy. But now, Kuin, very feminine coded, and apparently it's discovered is secretly into being tied up.
Yeah. He was one of the yokai kidnaps him, and he's like, wait, I'm kind of into this.
Yeah. And the yandere character is see, he says he likes it, and it's he's only doing that under duress, but then under closer inspection, Kuin actually likes being under duress. So, it evens out, actually.
God.
It's hard to say that much about Kuin. He's kind of the POV character. His purpose is mostly to react to Murakami.
Which, I always hate that form of Japanese comedy. I know it's a mainstay, but the whole, someone being like, hey, what they just did is ridiculous. Let me explain in detail why that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No one wears a ham sandwich as a shirt. That's so silly.
Yeah. It wasn't as bad in this one, but it has been very bad in the past. And
then, Joe, did you have anything about Kuin?
I couldn't really get a feel for Kuin's character other than, I guess Kuin was Kuin did bring Murakami back to life.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah. He did.
He did.
I guess the thing is, Murakami's really good at destroying somebody's confidence in themselves through questions, whereas Kuin is really good at, basically blowing smoke up their ass, kind of.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of saying it.
Yeah, he basically, there are times where he feels so bad about how Murakami is making the yokai feel that he ends up just complimenting the yokai.
Yeah, it's so silly. Yeah, he does that a lot. And then also in the note of yokai, let's talk about Tenko, who I think is the most notable third character, because the series also kind of introduced characters and forgets it. I thought the Kappa would matter, I thought the Fire Lady would matter. But Tenko is a super powerful yokai, except she seems to lose all her powers near the end of the series when it would matter. She wants to be human, which I think leads to some weird plot holes when they go to yokai school, which we'll talk about. And she has I think she has a big old crush on Murakami, if I am recalling correctly.
Yeah, I think so, David. Maybe.
Just a touch.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe, the fact that she says I love you to him.
No, I don't think so.
Not realizing it's him, of course. No, her big character trait is that she is extremely shy and everything gives her anxiety, which is relatable.
Yep.
But for instance, it's do you want to go see a movie with him? And she's like, but what if there's silence and all anybody could hear is me crunching on popcorn? And they'll be like, oh my God, is that girl really eating popcorn right now?
Someone be like, are you seriously eating popcorn at the movies?
Yeah, or she goes to get food for Murakami, but she comes back with an eraser, and the reason is because it's the only food they had there were these big meals of food, and if I got it, people would be like, is that girl really gonna eat all that? And I couldn't handle that embarrassment of people thinking like that, and it's that's kind of her character.
Yeah, we stand an overthinking fox god.
I relate, just over anxiety, just are the yokai really that different from us that they get filled with anxiety like that?
Actually, one of the themes of this manga
Is that the yokai are... Yeah.
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 And then, Joe, did you have any thoughts on Tenko?
Yeah, she's not I don't know. She's not a really big fan of her character. Like, you mentioned, like, her having Murakami eat...
An eraser?
Yeah, having Murakami eat an eraser. God, there was, like, a little weird thing a while back where they were just like, do foreigners think Japanese people eat rubber? So I wonder if it's just like... Yeah, it's one thing on... it's like
Wait, no, you have to explain this.
Have you had to eat any rubber since you moved to Japan?
Well, I've not had to eat any rubber.
Oh, that's
but
good.
It was like on like Japanese like Instagram for like a little bit while back. I feel like there's just a lot of
No, we can't move on from this. Why did they think that? I have to know.
I'm with Jordan.
Okay, so long story short, right? If I can remember this properly, there's like a soup that was like in like his Instagram video, and then it's like this like gray object, and it looked like super rubbery. And then like there were a bunch of people responding to that. They were just like, "Is this lady like eating an eraser?" And then like a bunch of Japanese. There was like a very briefly lived Japanese discussion about just like, dude, do foreigners think Japanese people eat like rubber?
What the fuck?
That is ridiculous. Have you seen that like TikTok lady where she's like, one of the coolest things about being Asian is I can tell them white people anything and they believe me. It's like I eat like Asian people eat eggs with the shell on, and they're like, oh, okay, how like cultural that you do that. Okay, okay. I don't know how to segue in. I don't know a good way. It's like, let's get into why it failed. Okay, Joe, what would you say are some issues you had with the series?
Well, the biggest one for me is that I didn't think the jokes were that funny.
No, the series has like 3 funny jokes, and then which it drags out, and then the other jokes are not fun.
Yeah, and
No, I think I liked some more of the jokes than you guys did, but it wasn't like that funny. I agree. Like, it was like, the problem with a gag manga and anything comedy related is that if it's not funny, you just fail.
Yeah, I would say it's the easiest genre to be really bad at.
Yeah.
Because we all know people that like are like charisma black holes, and like when you see them trying to be funny, it's just like, ooh, ouch.
It's weird because it's like, on the flip side, you can fail at everything, but if you're funny, you win.
Yeah, I totally agree, Joe. Is there any like jokes that in particular, like, ooh, like that was like a swing and a miss?
So there was one joke where we find out he's like a wordsmith or whatever. The Japanese word is kotodama, but I don't know how to elegantly translate that. I don't remember what the manga used. But we find out he's one of those people, primarily in the sense that he's attacking the one of the 4 heavenly kings of the Yokai High School, the Azuki Aai, which literally translates to what he's doing, which is washing the Azuki beans. And I didn't really think that was particularly funny.
Yeah.
Because like I really thought that they were going to do something with the actual name, because again, the yokai's name is Azuki Aai, which literally translates to, washing Azuki beans, which is what he's doing. And then the only thing that they do with it is just this is literally what you're doing. And I don't know, I feel like the mangaka is just not I don't know. His sense of humor is just not something.
He's just not that funny. That's the thing, right? I completely agree. And I honestly think that the whole yokai school thing, like, one of the things I think is Alpha actually had some interesting ideas, and it was pretty bad execution on most bases. Like, the yokai school maybe could have been fun. We've seen it before. My recommendation is literally this plot done properly, but it was like a lot of the time I was like, what is the point of this? A lot of these jokes are not funny. Jordan's gonna talk about how at least his favorite character in the series shows up in that arc, but I was just like, what are we doing? This just feels like we're treading water, because I think the author didn't have enough material for a weekly shonen series.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the ultimate problem, is that it's like, how much mileage you getting out of this?
Yeah.
Like, these are short chapters, and even still, it's like, yeah, by the end of the chapter, it's like, I get it. I get the joke.
But so much text in these chapters.
So much text in these fucking chapters. By the end of each chapter, it's like, all right, I get the jokes,
Mm-hmm.
I understand where you're going with this. Cool. But also another big problem is I think that this series fell into a trap that I see a lot of other series have, where it's like, oh, you beat a bad guy and he becomes your friend. Okay, why does every bad guy you beat in a Monster of a Week become your friend? The cast has ballooned.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so many fucking characters characters now. Like, yeah, as David pointed out, the Kappa kind of disappears because now there's a bunch of other characters taking up the Kappa's spot. And it's like, why do you need that many fucking characters? The manga ends just as it's starting to turn into a harem manga.
Yeah, it does.
Thank God. Like, oh no. I saw it coming. They just got the second yokai who was into Murakami and then it's over. Like, thank God.
There's like some characters that like I just wipe from my memory until they showed up again. Like the one character who his entire character is that like he's like wealthy.
Yeah.
It's like that scene from Trailer Park Boys where it's like, I'm going to pay you to fuck off.
Yeah.
Who I actually liked that guy.
And then he disappeared.
Yeah, which is maybe why I liked him. Because if he was there every single fucking chapter, maybe I would have gotten really fucking sick of him. But no, he's just like, ugh, here you go. Here's $1 million. And he's like, you can solve anything by just giving people $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, screw the rules, I have money.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, I want to say, speaking of the Kappa, isn't Kappa just felt like a ripoff of Turbo Granny? Like, I kind of feel like this was stealing a lot from Dandadan.
It's like too thin to even get to the point. Like, I see where you're going with that. I don't even know if it gets developed enough to make that determination.
That's fair.
I see where you're coming with that, but yeah, just not enough traits to even make the comparison.
Yeah. Also, why were some of these, like, I think they hand wave it, but why did they use things that weren't yokai in this series? Like, there's a centaur and in a finger quotes European dragon in this series.
They say that he's being attacked by a Western nightmare demon.
Yeah, so, like, you're 16 chapters in and you're already running out of interesting native yokai to use in the series? Like, come on.
Yeah. Have you even heard of Shin Megami Tensei?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if Daiki Ihara like sent in the name and it was like the first Kappa. It was like the first like Kappa chapter, and then the editor was like, "All right, this sounds good. Let's go with it. Let's do yokai." And he's like, "Oh crap, I don't know enough yokai."
Oh, we've seen that a lot where authors like it was Rush where it was like a medical thing, and then the author was like, I don't really want to do all this research, and just completely gives up the fact that the main character is a doctor. Please, David, Rash. Rash.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, these short chapters, like, these chapters are so short, nothing really can happen in it because it's missing about 5 or 6 pages to let anything breathe, which is also why it's probably got so much text because he has to cram 19 pages worth of stuff into it.
I mean, he doesn't, but he does.
Yeah, it's just also like, this is just not a good series, but there are some good parts. So do you guys cool if we move on to the positives?
I do want to say though, the art was not great.
The art was also not great. It had good
not
coloring.
Very good.
It was an improvement though. So
again, as a gag manga, you could forgive the art if it was really funny. It's like, who gives a shit?
Like High School Family.
Yeah, or well, that was a really good artist intentionally using a
weird art style. Yeah,
a weird art style for humor's sake. It's a little different here, but yeah, it's like one is more of a.
Well, I think I get what you mean. All right, but since we're starting to talk about things that I actually think the art was at least improved versus Protect Me Shikamaru, so why don't we get into the positives? So Jordan, I know you've alluded that you actually enjoyed this. It sounds like a bit more than me and Joe. What would you say are the things that made you, I guess, enjoy the series?
So first off, David, I think that we are under agreement regardless of the quality of this series. And Joe, you're not going to believe this. This is a massive glow up from Protect Me Shikamaru. Yeah. This is so much better than Protect Me Shikamaru.
Honestly, I was thinking about this. This actually may be a bigger improvement of this versus Protect Me Shikamaru than Beast Children and Green Greens, just by the scale that we went from absolutely one of the worst things we have ever read to something that I would say is like a little bit below mediocre.
You gotta understand, if the next manga this guy makes has the same jump in quality, it will be up there with One Piece.
Yeah.
Like, that is how bad Protect Me Shikamaru is.
Let me get the ranking list and tell you where Protect Me Shikamaru is on our rank.
I mean, he's already restarted One Piece Love, the god.
He did, yeah, it's true.
No, but I do think that, like, some of the jokes here landed.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked how, like, when the Tengu showed up and started doing his weird Tengu scream, the first thing Murakami does is take out his phone and use Shazam to try and figure out what song he's playing. I liked how he defeated the witch from Hansel and Gretel by using land laws, like zoning regulations.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually like one of the things that's like a super interesting. Like that's kind of like a crazy like I don't really know how to describe it. That's like a very Japanese kind of like humor in the sense that like really sort of like fantastical things are just like crushed under like
The weight of bureaucracy.
social bureaucracy. Yeah, because like so have you ever read like the Wikipedia article for like they mentioned it in here, but the scissors woman yokai.
No.
In the Wikipedia article for like how to like there are ways to like get around her.
Yeah, isn't it? You just kind of like, I've got some errands I have to go take care of. There's a flow chart on the Wikipedia page,
There's
right?
a flow chart, and like literally one of the easiest ways to get around her is just to like literally just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy, and she like bows politely, so oh yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
you just walk off.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, I was like, I had a D&D campaign, I had to deal with some fae, and they're like, "What's your name?" Or like they asked me like a really tricky question. I just walked off, and my DM was like, "Fucking all right, fair enough, fair play."
I just want to say I googled scissors woman, and the first thing that showed up is lesbian scissoring. So that is not exactly what.
No, that would have been way more interesting.
Yeah.
They could have balanced. Actually, they could have balanced the penis chapter with an all lesbian chapter,
with a vagina chapter. Why not?
They go to the Rose Garden. By the way, Protect Me Shikamaru is per our ranking out of the 132 series or whatever. I guess it's like 125 because we've done relooks. It is ranked the 13th worst thing we have ever covered on this show.
Oh,
That's how bad Protect Me Shikamaru is.
And one of those series is just straight up a pedophile manga. You have to understand.
Yeah, one of them's a pedophile.
But also, like, I gotta give a shout out to a great kind of reaction image that came out of this for me, which is Murakami is like arguing with this chair that has, that's like anybody who sits in me dies, and he starts asking it questions, and Kuin's like, oh man, Murakami, yeah, he's gonna logic his way out of this, but then the chair just like actually answers Murakami's question, so he's like, okay, it works for me, guess I'll die.
Yeah, and then he just dies.
And he just dies! He legit dies.
And comes back to life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That joke was funny because I was just like, I was wondering if they're just going to continue that.
Just
He's
kill
just
him.
dead. He's just missing for the next few chapters or something.
It would be amazing.
I was really hoping he died, and then like he just comes back. I feel like did Smiling Friends do that, Jordan, where like a character died? Oh no, South Park did that, where Kenny was dead for like a season, and he just shows up in like the last episode, and you're like, oh hey, what's up, Kenny? He's like, hey, what's up, guys? And they just don't explain how he came back to life.
David, you got confused by the episode title "Charlie Dies and Doesn't Come Back."
No.
Which is actually not what happens.
Yeah, all of the episodes of Smiling Friends are lies. The titles.
Also, I really liked the dragon.
Yeah, the dragon's great. It reminds me of the fish guy from
Yes.
from Matama Security, which on that note, like I ultimately think one of the best things about the series is this is a fun idea. That actually gave a ton of bandwidth because yeah, the joke kind of ran thin, but I'm like, this is actually an idea that I think a better offer really could have made like a 300 chapter series out.
Yeah, it's called Mob Psycho.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Fuck, that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the dragon because like the dragon is another one of those things where like I'm thinking like is how can I describe it? It feels like the author is like cooking, but what he's cooking turns out is not particularly like edible.
Yeah.
Because, like, I wonder, like, so, like, I'm thinking of, like, okay, why would a dolphin want to be a dragon? And then you have, like, this idea, because, like, there's always, like, the old aphorism of just, like, a carp that pushes far enough becomes a dragon.
Which I guess is where Gyarados comes from,
yeah,
right?
That's where Gyarados comes from, yeah. And so it's just, like, but, like, he's a dolphin. So he's trying so hard to be a dragon, but he can't even be a dragon in the first place, because... So, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, is this, like, the mangaka's, like, another play on some particular idiosyncratic thing?
I thought the same thing because I started to be like, wait, he kind of looks like Dratini.
Yeah.
Is that where the Dratini thing comes from? That somebody confused a dolphin for a dragon? Because, like, that always confused me about Dratini, but it started to be like, wait, is this a thing?
Yeah, it really does feel like he's, like, cooking, but, you know, it's just not, like, executed as elegantly enough for it to, like, be funny, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we're definitely get into that in the next section. Also, Jordan, I'm surprised you didn't talk about how much you love the Gen pose, which was one of the best things from Nico Wappa, where, Joe, for context, Nico Wappa is about this girl who's adopted by like cat spirits and like she has superpowers or whatever. And there's just like, she has to do like a race or something, and the commentator is like, what was it, a gerbil?
The Gendo Akari.
Yeah, the Gendo Akari gerbil or something, and he just keeps making the pose, and that was like one of the funniest parts. So I'm surprised you haven't also signaled that out, because I always thought you were a sucker for the Gendo Akari jokes.
I mean, it was just funnier in Nico Wappa.
Yeah, this one, again, it had a good idea, it just wasn't executed.
That's kind of the thing. Like, I thought it was like kind of funny in some ways that like he took these characters accidentally all were Gendo Ikari and they were like the wrong trope. So he's like, let me assign you a new trope. But it wasn't that. I don't know. The execution could have been better.
Yeah, it felt like a joke that I could have seen in Witch Watch and done funnier.
There were a lot of jokes here that were theoretically funny.
Yeah. Theoretically funny.
Good idea, actually. Not amazing execution.
Yeah. And on that note, why don't we get into where it could have gone? How's that sound?
Mm-hmm.
So what I actually thought could be cool. So you guys remember the Lilo and Stitch television show?
Yeah.
Where they had like Stitch's cousins or whatever wrecking havoc, and they had to find like a place where they could use their powers productively. And I kind of feel like that would have been cool, where they're just like, okay, yeah, society's really changed. You know, maybe the yokai genuinely don't want to be disrupted, but it's their nature. Let's go find stuff. And like, imagine like the Kappa starts working at a pool and he's like a lifeguard now, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like saving the people that fall in, and like he has like drinks on his head or something. So I think that's a good way they could have used like a really big cast, and that's how like everyone's kind of like deactivated unless they need him for the plot. And it's not like everyone's like, hey, what happened to Kappa? He disappeared for 10 chapters. Oh, he was working a job as a lifeguard. You know, it explains stuff, but Kappa can still come back if they need him as a character.
That's what I was thinking, like with the Tengu DJ.
Yeah.
Who it's like, he's not there. He's busy being a DJ. Like, that worked. That was my immediate response. It's very similar. It's like, some of these characters need to go the fuck away. Send this character away. Make him do something else. He's not they're not here anyway. So, like, I need the Kappa to not be able to suddenly show up, because otherwise it's like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It's weird, because it's like, it's in this strange thing where he's simultaneously there and not there. So it's like, you always have to, he can show up at any time with no explanation. And like, I need there to be an explanation if he shows up.
Yeah. How about you, Joe? What are some things you would have tweaked about this?
I would have actually loved to see, like, it's already established there's, like, yokai. I would have loved to see if there is also the existence of, like, more folkloric figures outside of just yokai. You have this world where all these particular demons exist, but then you think of, like, you know, does, like, Momotaro exist? You know? Like, does, like, Kaguya exist? It would have been...
I was gonna say, I was hoping that weird dude who, like, asks you who shows up in the bathroom and asks if you want a red or blue cape was going to show up, but he didn't.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's my favorite weird ass Japanese, like, scary ghost guy.
I love the umbrella guy. If they were all about like making yokai cute, I really thought they were going to have that guy show up.
I think the interesting thing is that for a manga about like yokais like doing things that are weird, it's kind of odd that they don't like talk about some of like the goofier yokai. Like there was no mention of like Shirime.
Mm-hmm.
Which one's Shirime?
It's the one, he's like the old man where like if you go to help him out, he'll be like, oh, can you help me out? And then if you go to, he shows up in the middle of the night. It's like all alone. And then like if he looks like an old man and he's like, oh, please help me out. And then if you go and you help him out, he like, oh, I dropped something. Can you help pick it up? And then when you pick it up, he shows you his asshole and there's like an eye.
They did talk about assholes in the first chapter.
Japanese folklore monsters are great because, like, there's so many involving the bathroom for some reason.
I also wish we could have seen him do more like Grim Tales, or like, what's the one where it's like you lose like an axe and like the fairy's like, oh, is this your axe? And it's like a solid gold axe. And I really could have seen Murakami be like, no, he could have gone into like how a solid gold axe is like a terrible material for like for chopping down trees, you know? And he's like, if you're trying to bait people, you should really get like a better refined, like maybe like a carbon steel axe, because like no one is who actually, like, you know, it's like such a blatant bait. Like, do you guys know that story?
I don't know that story, but
I'm familiar. Yeah.
It's like a guy loses an axe, and a fairy's like, he's like, goes to a pond, and he's like, is this your axe? Did you drop an axe? And it's like a solid gold axe, and he offers like a silver axe. And like the trick is, you like, if you're honest, she gives you them and your original axe, but if you lie, she like kills you or something. So it's got like a lot of the je ne sais quoi, the shit that like Murakami clearly logics out of in this series.
I kind of wish that a lot of these yokai's responses to Murakami weren't, oh, I love you. And instead, it was just like, this guy is so fucking annoying. That would have been really funny if it's just like all these yokai, it's like, oh, this motherfucker again. God damn it.
Yeah.
Like that, I feel, is a more understandable response to a guy just rules lawyering everything.
Yeah, he just feels like a contrarian.
Yeah, but no, everybody just kind of loves it when he does that. But it ends up just being so generic because like we've read so many manga where, again, a guy like wins the enemy over. And it's like, what if he just made the enemy be like, you beat me, but like, fuck you? Like,
that's kind of what Kappa does.
Yeah, one of them does that, but like the majority of the other ones are like, oh, you're really cool. I like you. I'm going to hang out with you now. Let's be friends. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just also imagine if this was like he did have to go to like yokai, or not yokai, to go to Exorcist school, and like they have like a yokai, but instead Kuin just brings Murakami as his familiar, like straight up. That's the entire plot. Or it's like he couldn't get any yokai to be his partner, so he just brought his friend from school.
He kind of did that.
But I mean, like, make that like the focal point of the plot. So it's kind of like
that chapter was so annoying, by the way.
It was annoying, but again, it was a fun idea that was just poorly executed.
Yeah, that chapter is like the biggest instance of it just running its only joke into the ground, where it's like the whole joke is that like, oh man, this guy who Kuin knows is absolutely just tsundere as fuck, because he's like, you always do this, Kuin, you always do this, you're such a jerk, like a Bakugo type character, and it becomes increasingly obvious that actually he deeply cares about Kuin, and it's like, you figure this out about a third into the 11-page chapter, and then it just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah, I'm so glad these chapters were short, because can you imagine him trying to make these 19 pages?
Oh my god. What else do I say about this series?
Joe, how about you? Is there anything else you would have tweeted about this series?
I feel like this manga would be a lot more fun. You don't even have to change that much of it, but I feel like it would be a lot more fun if you just throw out like strange implications, like, you know, like what if this manga just like happened in the same universe as like other yokai manga, like Mononoke, like much more serious.
So like our cover art for this series is Exorcist Manga Jail. Where he's thrown in jail, because we have covered a lot of bad Exorcist manga in this series, or in this podcast.
Yeah, what if this manga just went full parody?
It is, isn't it?
It's a parody of yokai. It doesn't really feel quite as... I don't know. What if it was a better parody? How about that?
What if this manga was better, Jordan's?
What if this manga was just better?
Dude, yeah, I think that's how we improve it. You know, we just gotta make this manga better, and then it'll be...
We just gotta do
good.
better.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great, though. You know, imagine if this take place in the same universe as, like, Gegege no Kitaro, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, like, while Kitaro is getting, like, ghosts, like, I don't know, messing up his smartphone or something, you know, on the other side of Japan, you got this guy yapping around.
It's in the same world as Yu Yu Hakusho.
It's in the same world as Yu Yu Hakusho.
God, that would be so fucking funny.
You got Yusuke just spirit gunning everything, and then this guy is just like, well, actually...
Well, Taguro, hold on. How do you do 120%?
That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense. That's not how percentages work.
But can you imagine this guy shows up in the tournament of power? Like Kuwabara's like, you're a Meshi, dude. What's going on?
Oh, this guy would body Kuwabara. He would destroy Kuwabara.
All right, we're getting into miscellaneous thought territory, so let's formally get over there. So, Joe, do you have any stray thoughts or observations you haven't had a chance to say yet?
So nothing particularly important, but I feel like this manga is the unfortunate product of, I feel like the mangaka might be like being set up to fail in a weird way, because it really doesn't seem like they're given a lot of space to like really flesh this out and breathe. It feels kind of like a rushed product, and I don't mean rushed as in that like he has to finish it in a really quick period of time, but I feel like he's given such like a very limited set of like constraints.
Yeah, because he also doesn't build like a world.
Yeah, and like I remember when like they did the Yokai Academy like arc, I was just like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
You know,
Why
I
are
was-
these people in school? What is happening? Like,
Did I miss a chapter? What happened?
Yeah, I definitely was like, wait, what the hell? Where's this chat? There's something between these chapters, isn't there?
Yeah.
there was one joke in a previous one where Murakami was like, where did you go to school to learn how to like haunt people, you know? And it's like, I thought, oh, that's kind of funny, assuming that that's like that there is an action, assuming that there's a school that does that is funny. And then it turns out there is a school and it's like, well, now that joke's less funny.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. This is a series that like, how many chapters of this can you do?
Yeah.
This is a series that is like, feels very closed if it just keeps the exact same, if it keeps doing the same thing. To the point where after a certain point, the author kind of just stops doing the conceit and Murakami just says one thing and it makes a bad guy feel bad and he explodes.
Yeah, they defeated by facts and logic.
Yeah.
Also, I thought it was interesting how many like real world products they name dropped. I think usually they have like fake things like the Switch, but they're just like, yeah, Apple Music, YouTube, Android. So
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if policy has changed, or like, I wonder if they have that rule where it's like bad guys can't use iPhones in movies, and that's why the main character had to have an iPhone, or if they wouldn't have had the rights to it.
Apple sponsored this series, actually.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Tim Apple, you know.
Japan's got a lot of like weird copyright stuff because
Yeah,
they
like
haven't-
JoJo.
Yeah, they haven't like updated like a lot of like their copyright stuff since like the Second World War, and so like that's why there's like some weird like stuff because it was like traditionally like a way to like deal with the press. I think the funniest example is like Kiki's Delivery Service
Mhm.
because like the original like Kiki's Delivery Service, right? The original Japanese title is Majo no Takyubin, but
Yeah.
Takyubin is like actually it's actually like a copyright of like one of the biggest delivery companies in Japan, which is called Kuroneko, right? And so to sort of get around that, when
Doesn't that literally mean black cat?
Black Cat, yes. So like
Whoa.
Studio Ghibli, when they adapted it to play nice with the delivery company, they added a black cat.
Oh my God.
You know? So
Holy shit.
there's just like weird copyright stuff.
I love it. And then also, I want to say that they were talking about the bladeless fans, but just for the record, those actually are not bladeless fans. They just hide the blades in like a compartment. So they are not magical or some weird super technology. It's literally just redistributing the airflow in a way you don't know. Because they talked about that bladeless fan like it was magic. Also, you can 100% read a text message in Android without marking it red. That's the whole point of Android is you have a lot of flexibility of what apps you can use to do things, which is why it's a superior and the best phone, despite my wife hating the green bubbles. Actually, Jordan, speaking of Smiling Friends, I don't know why I feel like this author would probably watch a Smiling Friends. I don't know why. I just got like a Smiling Friends vibe from it. Have you seen it, Joe?
I haven't.
Oh, it's
Smiley Friends is great.
it's great. It's an acquired taste, but I love it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and like if it had been Smiling Friends, Murakami legit would have just died in the chair. Just that the series would have just never really talked about him again.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then did you guys have any miscellaneous thoughts?
Look, I'm just saying, you know, this I feel like this manga would be a lot funnier if it was just set in the same universe as like Bleach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, someone's got to be the worst Shinigami.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that Murakami did not have powers because they're like, oh, you have spirit words or whatever.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, they tried to make a power system out of it, which was really stupid.
I will say one of my favorite jokes came at like the last couple pages where the bad guys like they learn Murakami's like original last name. He's like, wait a minute, that's the same name as the guy who stopped me last time I was here. And then Murakami's like, yeah, oh, but I'm adopted.
Yeah, he's
It's
like,
like,
but I was saved as a child in America, and he's like, oh, I was actually on a trip during that time.
Yeah. Yeah, Kuin's like, the whole reason I became an exorcist was because I was saved by a child in America. And yeah, as David said, he's like, nah, I was in Cambodia.
That was a different guy.
dog."
That
That was a
actually,
different guy.
that reminds me a lot. Actually, Matama Security came up as a recommendation to read after I finished the series on the Viz app. So
That's such a good recommendation.
because we said in the chibi, I was like, the author of Matama Security could have absolutely done a great job with this premise.
Yeah.
And yeah, also, why was he using it? He talked about using Google Maps. Why was he using Google Maps if he has an iPhone?
Damn, good point.
Fucking nailed it.
fucking got him.
Yeah. Also, speaking of a good comedy manga, the affinity chart reminded me, Jordan, of probably one of my favorite jokes of all time in a Shonen Jump, which is, have you ever read A Gravity Boys or heard of A Gravity Boys, Joe?
I haven't, no.
So A Gravity Boys has like one of those like where's everyone now charts and like the relationships and stuff. But you know what makes it really great is they add a bunch of characters that actually don't exist in the manga to the affinity chart. And so they talk about like this love triangle between three characters that don't actually exist in the manga and have like all these details. It's really great. It gets absolutely crazy. It turns into penis bleach. Jordan can back me up. This is absolutely what happens as a talk. So
A Gravity Boys is great because it's like, what if a ridiculous gag manga happened, but it never goes back to the status quo ever?
Yeah, it has very strong continuity.
Like insane things just keep building up and building up. It's great.
All right. And speaking of insane things, let's get into it. We actually have a double dose of trivia because both MaxyBee and friend of the show, Finn K, the official letter on the series, have dropped some facts for us. I'm going to read them now from MaxyBee. Yokai Buster Murakami had the rare privilege of being run in the very back of the magazine. Normally, this would be a sign of editorial condemning a series to death, but now and then they try and spice things up by deliberately leaving a series in the back. This has happened a few times before. The King is a Donkey, Pio2 Fuku Jaguar, in Osabe Isobe Matagari, which though did not work very well for this series. At the start, Murakami Ihara hadn't upgraded his phone in 7 years, so maybe that's why he was using Google Maps on an iPhone. Crucial trivia learned from the author's comment, which are actually, fun fact, very depressing, including him saying he has limited reasons to live and doesn't think he has any friends.
Oh no!
So it's very, very depressing. Volume extras include bonus contents, epilogues, one-shots, a gag strip on the front cover of Volume 1 mocking the series for having such a serious cover, and an explanation of the Thomas Flair Murakami on the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump. Basically, the theme was decided due to the breakdancing becoming a part of the Olympics, and the cover design requested different breakdancing poses from different authors. But yeah, and then from Finn K, letters are usually tasked with making something temporary for the logo since the series might get canceled. Wink. They said the logo for Murakami was fun to make, and they gave it a little bit of a goofy air that the manga has. The pink flame is directly from the original Japanese logo. This, to date, was a series that took them the longest amount of time to work on every week. I'm so sorry you spent a lot of time on this series. On average, each chapter took 2 hours. In comparison, Shinobi Undercover, which they also work on, only takes 40 minutes to an hour, even though these are shorter pages, which is kind of crazy. And sometimes the editors don't want them to use so many fonts because it's easier to keep track of them all, but choosing when to change a font reflects the different tones of dialogue can be tricky, and tone is important for a manga full of puns like this. And if you're curious about the primary font, it is Might Makes Right Pro for the main dialogue because the artwork is kind of round without many sharp edges, so they felt it gives a light, airy, and simple feel, which felt appropriate for a gag manga. In chapter 2, they have to admit, had a few production issues. You can actually see, I don't know if you guys noticed, but some of the text boxes are not centered properly. Finn K says that they had COVID while they were working on this, which I think is totally fair, that it wasn't 100%. Though it also, they don't actually know for a fact if it was on them. It could have been later in the production cycle, because again, there are different people who are checking this kind of quality stuff, but mistakes happen. They also want to say that's really important, though. This highlights why it's important to get the full releases, because it was fixed in the volume releases, which also have extras, as MaxyBee talked about. And overall, there wasn't a lot of retouching work. Their favorite chapter, however, was chapter 5 with the iPhone versus Android argument. They did not say which side they were on, but we will leave it to them to have made their choices. And finally, the last page where it says thank you was actually written by the author, which felt extra sweet for the ending. David, not me, our editor, Euron, and I, and themselves, Finn K, had a great time sharing memes while they were working on this series. All right, let's get into final verdict. How's that sound?
Yeah.
From Tucker, One Trick Pony dead at starting line. MaxyBee, pedantry, newest form of wit. Or a paladin, insane volume covers, decent drawn comedy. Odor of the Flame Flamer, ooh, that series is dying very soon. Redditor discovers Sunshine Grass and Yokai.
No, poor author. Who will draw the thick women without the author?
Someone's gonna have to take that up. Artil says, who are you gonna call? Joke writers. Balf, so forgettable the episode's a month late. Bao, if Matama Security met Darmon. And Speech 100, manga got busted anyway. Chicken Warlord, timid exorcist finds biblically accurate dragon. Diego, bust yokai but aren't phantom seers. Dude Rock's protagonist shtick gets old fast. Emerald Mudkip, I am so confused. Who is Murakami? Freyan, local boy cannot stop asking why. Hit point, master debater busts over every yokai. And then Jordan, do you want to do the remainder of the community ones?
Yeah. Isekai Sensei says, Murakami, Murakami, Murakami. Did it work? Jersey Luck says, only room for one funny exorcist. Captain Clueless, Kuin succeeds by just being there. Lord Anubis, even Jump does not want you. Luffy Taro, boy, actuallys to help exorcist. Meru, Apple versus Android but with Ghost. New Dawn Horizon, bad vibes and motion sickness. Red Blade, Twitter arguments create a friend group. S. Bubby, demolishing monsters with facts and logic. The Wolf, the Trafalgar. Logically, facts don't make great comedy. Unlinking Duck, mansplain manipulate Murakami, am I right? Watchtower, Lil Crowder debates Jekyll hides. I get that reference. Xylon, actually bad manga deserve cancellation?
And then Joe, how about you? What was your 6-word summary?
I would say Yusuke Spirit Guns and Murakami Yap.
And Jordan, how about you?
Facts don't care about your demons.
And then mine was Magu-chan needed a cameo in this. I didn't bring it up because Magu-chan is from a much better canceled manga, Joe, that had a cameo in Protect Me Shigemaro, and it was the only good part of that series.
Right.
So I really wish Magu-chan had, or they could have picked like another good cancel. Like, what if the dude from Green shows up? So that would have been really great. But yeah, it was just like a straight up crossover between the two series. It was very strange, but it was really funny.
Yeah, I think he legit just had the author of Magu-chan just write some chapters for him. Yeah, and they were the best chapters because it was a different author.
It's just so good. It was just, yeah, it was like, here's Magu-chan in this manga, and then it was the only good part in that. So anyway, I would call this, I'm actually surprised, I'm calling this just a regular flop.
Yeah.
How about you, Jim?
What's the difference between flop levels?
So the tier is not a flop, or certified flop. Certified flop is you would use the word terrible to describe it.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably just say flop.
Yeah, me too.
All right. With that in mind, Joe, what would you say? What should someone check out instead of this? It doesn't have to be an anime or manga, by the way.
They should read Bleach, man.
Read Bleach? I love it.
You should read Bleach. No, I would say, if you're interested in yokai, the original Japanese ghost stories is actually quite interesting.
Oh, not the dub?
Not the dub, yeah. The original Japanese is actually quite interesting.
It's so easy to forget that was not intended to be
they just
like
didn't give
that.
a fuck.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like you have to maintain the character names, otherwise you can do whatever you want?
I don't know. I think you would have to ask, like, Mercury Falcon about that, you know?
Oh, fuck. We've had Mercury Falcon on. We'll have to ask him then.
Oh, well, you should have asked him about that.
Mercury Falcon was, like, I think, our previous, most recent guest after the last episode. Shit.
Oh, okay.
No, but Mercury Falcon is fantastic.
John would know. The original like Japanese of like ghost stories is like actually quite interesting. It's a very sort of like monster of the week, but also like doubly kind of like informative, like an interesting look at like yokai. I would say like Eccentric Family is also quite interesting. It's very regional because it takes place in like Kyoto, but it's also like an interesting into like the dynamics of yokai in like a sort of like playful way. So yeah, and then if you want like no fluffs, kind of just like really straightforward, like Gekgen no Kitaro is like very like yokai like focused. It's also like really interesting because like Kitaro is like a very, very like, this is like what Japanese kids are going to be watching when they're like learning about yokai. So
interesting. And then Jordan, how about you? What would you recommend instead of this?
I mean, the ultimate recommendation is Mob Psycho.
Yeah, Mob Psycho.
Because Murakami is just kind of worse Reagan.
Yeah, I love Talk No Jutsu characters.
Yeah.
Or Master Bullshitters. That was, someone asked me actually what was my favorite like trope. I should have said that. Like Hercule, Buggy, King. Fucking, I love the Master Bullshitter trope when they're really good at it.
Yeah. Usopp.
Joe, are you in Fall One Piece at all?
I stopped reading it because I was like, you know what? I'll wait until the whole thing is done. And that's like been like 15 years so far.
Yeah. So this won't be spoilers, but there's just like some guy Luffy is fighting is like, how high will you go? And it has like a bunch of like famous pirates behind him, and someone photoshopped it with Usopp, and it has like those pictures of like Reagan and Hercule and shit behind him. So anyway, yeah. And then mine is, if you want something similar, just go read Welcome to Demon School. It is by the writer of Ichi the Witch, which is in Shonen Jump right now, and it's very good. It's about a human who goes to demon school, so it's that entire plot point, but done really competently. And also read Parashoppers, where that, I forget if I recommend it, but it reminds me a lot of Tagashi, Yu Yu Hakusho Tagashi in the writing style. And it's literally about a guy who gets an app on his phone that it's like, you can use this app to buy a superpower. And he accidentally buys the ability to manipulate a single straw, like piece of straw. And it just goes from there. And it's super ridiculous and it's really funny.
Yeah, no, that reminds me, I was wondering if, what would happen if Murakami got the Super Smartphone from Super Smartphone?
It would be a better series.
Yeah, hey, Joe, what do you think Super Smartphone is about?
Super Smartphone.
Too late. It's about a guy who gets a super smartphone. There you go. That's the whole fucking thing.
All right. On that note, Jordan, I think we agree this is not the worst thing we've ever read, since this is a massive glow up from Protect Me Shikamaru.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into wrap up. Joe, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. It was a total blast, and thank you for calling us all the way from Japan. Joe, do you mind telling the audience where they can get more of you in their lives?
Yeah, so I'm on Pause and Select. I think the channel URL is youtube.com/pause and select for real, because the original Pause and Select was taken. But it sucks because it was taken, and then the podcast, it was a podcast channel called Pause and Select. That shut down, but you can't change your YouTube handle, so I'm just stuck with this.
Oh, that sucks.
Also, I did mention Majo no Takyubin. Don't hold me on that. That's something my partner told me, so I did not do any research on that. I just trusted her.
I love it. All right, that's awesome. And then I also want to say props to Jordan for making the opening and ending theme, being a great co-host, and helping with editing.
Thank you, David, for putting the whole show together, essentially, and getting the guests, and also editing as well.
No problem. Props to Merliel for the awesome cover art. You can find her online at Lyle Mer, and Nigel for being our generous art benefactor. Thank you, Dylan, for assistance with editing. You can find this podcast, Anime Out of Context, at animeoutofcontext.com. Thanks to Tucker and MaxyBee for assistance with pronunciation, translation, other miscellaneous research. Find us on Blue Sky /X at Shonen Flop, Tumblr Shonen-Flop, and our website shonenflop.com. We're also on Spotify, Apple Music. Hey, that was talked about in the manga. YouTube, or wherever else you get your podcasts. And come join the Shonen Flop Discord. It's open to everyone. Hang out with us, talk about anime, games, whatever else is on your mind. We have a manga book club and movie nights. In fact, the manga book club is going to be covering Emma by Karamori, which is a series I have not heard of, but it sounds fun. And you can find a link to it in our show notes or on our site, shonenflop.com. And Jordan, this is your time to plug your show, Vision Magnition.
Yeah, check out my show, Vision Magnition, also known as Mission Ignition. Which is about vampires, for now, who knows, wink, wink, wink. Let's see, find my art on Instagram at Jordan Forbes Art, and thank you to my wonderful girlfriend, Steph.
Yes, thank you to Jordan's girlfriend as well. I also want to give a thank you to
Jordan's girlfriend.
I also want to give a big thank you to my wonderful wife, who ordered lunch for us, so it'll be ready when we're done recording, and my adorable puppuccino ravioli, where she army crawled under a table so she could go eat a carrot. All right, shall we get in a sign off?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for listening. Just a reminder, we're going to be taking the month of August back, but we are going to be back before you know, and check out some awesome Patreon episodes. In the meanwhile, this has been David.
This has been Jordan.
This has been Joe.
And you've been listening to Shonen Flop.
Keep on flopping floppers, bye.
Yeah. Ooh, changing it up. Yeah.
Yeah.